Hello students, today we will do Wheatstone bridge, which is again an application of a Kirchhoff law which we did in the last lectures. Now Wheatstone bridge is used to find out the resistance of unknown value. So if you want to find out a value of any resistor, Wheatstone bridge is helpful. Though this Wheatstone bridge theory is a theoretical theory, the practical form of Wheatstone bridge is a meter bridge. So if you want to implement the concept of Wheatstone bridge in practical life, then we have a device which is called as a meter bridge that we will study in the next lecture. So in this lecture, first we will try to find out the concept of Wheatstone bridge, and based on its concept we will see the meter bridge. Also we will do one numerical related to the Wheatstone bridge. Now Wheatstone bridge key point is it is used to find out the value of unknown resistor or unknown resistance. So if we don't know the value of the resistance, or a resistor is given whose value is not known to us, then we will use this Wheatstone bridge. Now construction. This Wheatstone bridge consists of 4 arms. So it consists of 4 arms having 4 resistors connected in specific or typical way. So it consists of 4 resistors. These are called as arms. These are called as the arms of the Wheatstone bridge. So 4 gaps are left. So this 4 gap will consist of 4 resistors in a specific way or in a typical way. Now let me connect these resistors. Let us name this as R2, this as R1, this as R3, and this as R4. You can give the name of these 4 resistors as per your wish. You can name it R1, R2, R3, R4. So these are the 4 arms. Let us name these arms A, B, C, and this is D. So arm AB, arm BC, CD, and arm AD. So it consists of 4 arms having 4 resistors. Now out of these 4 resistors, the value of one is unknown to us. We don't know the value of one resistor out of these 4 resistors. Now opposite points, that is A and C, that is the diagonals. So the 2 vertices which are opposite to each other, we connect a cell having EMF E whose internal resistance is 0. So across a diagonal we connect, across one of the diagonal, we have 2 diagonal BD and AC. Across one of the diagonal we connect a battery of EMF E whose internal resistance is 0. So this AC arm AC is called battery arm because we have connected a battery across it. Between point B and D we connect a galvanometer. So arm This is the fifth arm, you can say, or simply I write BD is called galvanometer arm. Now what is galvanometer? Galvanometer is a device which is used to detect the presence of the current. It is not a device which will be used to measure the current. It detects only the presence of the current. Ammeter is a device which we will study in the coming chapters, which will measure the electric current in the circuit, and voltmeter is a device which will measure potential difference across or between any 2 points in the circuit. And galvanometer is used to detect the presence of the current. So if the current is flowing through this arm BD, the galvanometer will show a deflection, and if the galvanometer does not show any deflection, it means no current is passing through that wire or through that arm. So this is the construction. Typically it consists of 4 resistors which are referred as a 4 arms. Out of this 4 resistors, the value of 1 is not known to us, so that value we have to find out. Then across one of the diagonal, that is AC, or you can connect a battery to BD also. Across one diagonal we connect a battery of internal resistance 0. So either you connect a cell or a battery, and between the vertex B and D or the other diagonal have a galvanometer connected with it. So this is the construction. Now how it works? The value of R1 and R2 is fixed. The value of R1 and R2 is fixed. Let us assume the value of R4 is not known to us. So that will be referred as an unknown arm. Any one value is not known to us. This value R3 is actually a variable arm, or it is a standard arm. Here R3 has to be varied. So in a practical, instead of R3, we connect a resistance box. A resistance box is a variable resistance. You can change the value of resistance, and as the value of the resistance will increase, the current flowing through that circuit should decrease. So this R1 and R2 value is fixed. R3 is a standard arm where the value of R3 is varied in order to do the experiment. So it is one type of experiment, and we have assumed that we don't know the value of R4, which has to be determined. That is the use of a Wheatstone bridge. Now suppose I current flow through a battery or a cell to a junction A. Let the current flowing through R2 is I2, through R1 it is I1. The current flowing through galvanometer is Ig. Then the current from this should be, if I have to apply the Kirchhoff law, I will write I2 is approaching B, Ig is going inward, so the remaining current is I2 minus Ig. Let us name it I4. Then this Ig comes to D, it is added with I1 and it should be I1 plus Ig, but I write it I3. Because we will adjust the value of R3 here in such a way that a galvanometer shows a zero deflection. Now this is the initial condition. As soon as the circuit is completed, the current start flowing in the 4 resistors, as well as the current flowing through galvanometer is denoted by Ig. Now the galvanometer shows a deflection. Now we have to set a condition in such a way that a galvanometer shows a zero deflection. So in this bridge, which is known as a Wheatstone bridge, we have to arrange R3, or we have to select the value of R3 in such a way that Ig shows zero deflection, or galvanometer shows zero deflection, means Ig is equal to 0. So it is an experiment. We will set the value of R3, or we should select the value of R3 in such a way that galvanometer shows zero deflection, or you can say Ig becomes 0. Now what will happen if Ig becomes 0, that is I2 is approaching B, that is a junction, and no current is flowing through galvanometer. It means I2 becomes I4. No current is flowing through Ig, so I1 becomes equal to I3. So initially, if the current is flowing through the galvanometer, then I2 is not equal to I4. I1 is not equal to I3. But we will do, or we will set the value of R3. So while performing the experiment, the value of R3 is varied and it is selected in such a way, that galvanometer shows zero deflection. Galvanometer shows zero deflection. So this is Ig is equal to 0. So you have to set the value of R3. So I will vary the value of R3 so that Ig becomes 0. Now when Ig becomes 0, then the bridge is said to be balanced Wheatstone bridge. So when Ig is 0, the bridge is called balanced Wheatstone bridge. The bridge is called balanced Wheatstone bridge. So this is the situation. So we arrived at a balanced Wheatstone bridge by adjusting the value of R3. By adjusting the value of R3, we have balanced the Wheatstone bridge. So in the coming days, if I say the Wheatstone bridge is balanced, then this arm BD is ineffective. Means whatever is connected between point B and D, that becomes ineffective because no current is flowing through it. So it may be possible in the numerical that a fifth resistor is connected between point B and D. Now if no current is flowing through it, or the Wheatstone bridge is balanced, then there is no use of that fifth resistance. Whether it is there in the circuit or if it is not there in the circuit, it makes no change in any of our calculation. Now when the Wheatstone bridge is balanced, when Ig is 0, the bridge is called balanced Wheatstone bridge. When Wheatstone bridge is balanced, I1 is equal to I3 and I2 is equal to I4. So if it is given that a bridge is balanced, no need to label this as I4. I will write I2 here. Instead of I3, I will write I1 if it is given that the bridge is balanced. But because when we started our discussion, we assumed that a Wheatstone bridge is unbalanced, so we took the different current in the arms. But when it becomes balanced, no current is flowing through this, and therefore I1 is equal to I3 and I2 is equal to I4. Now we will apply the Kirchhoff law in the loop A, B, G, D, A and B, C, D, G, A. So applying Kirchhoff's second law to loop A, B, G, D, A. Now moving in the direction of the current. So minus I2 R2 Then from B to G to D, no current is there. So nothing has to be written. D to A, current is coming opposite to us. So it will be I1 R1 and equal to 0. This is called the single valuedness of electric potential. Means the potential at A, there is no change in the potential of A. Here it was VA, and there also you have to write VA, that we did in Kirchhoff law. Then VA is cancelled. So that is single valuedness. The potential at A does not change. So change in the potential is 0. That is a Kirchhoff second. So from this I can write I2 R2 is equal to I1 R1. This is our equation number 1. Now again apply the Kirchhoff's second law to the another loop. So applying Kirchhoff's second law to loop B, C, D, G, B. That is this loop. So moving in the direction of the current, minus I4 R4. Current is coming opposite to us. So I3 R3 equal to 0. There is no current in DB arm. Now I1 is equal to I3 and I2 is equal to I4. So therefore minus I2 R4 plus I1 R3 is equal to 0. So that is, now this is possible, you have remember this, only when the Wheatstone bridge is balanced. If it is unbalanced, different current will flow in the different arm. So this can be written as I2 R4 is equal to I1 R3. That is equation number 2. So this is equation 1. This is equation number 2. We take the ratio of equation 1 and 2. So if I take the ratio, it becomes R2 upon R4 is equal to R1 upon R3. This is the condition for the balanced Wheatstone bridge. So if the Wheatstone bridge is balanced, you have to remember the ratio of this resistance to this resistance is equal to the ratio of this resistance to this resistance. Don't remember like this, R2 upon R1 is equal to R1 upon R3. You have to remember like this, the ratio of this two resistance is equal to the ratio of this two resistance. If this is the situation, then the Wheatstone bridge is balanced. So this is the condition for Wheatstone bridge. Now, how it is used to find out the value of unknown resistance. So R1 and R2 was fixed. R3 was selected or it was adjusted. So actually we will connect a resistance box there. Resistance box for the time being is a variable resistance. You can vary the current from the resistance box. So R3 was adjusted. So whatever value is adjusted, that is known to us. So R4 can be written as R2 R3 divided by R1. So if R4 is unknown, then R4 can be written as R2 R3 upon R1. If R2 is unknown, then R1 upon R3 multiply by R4. So this is the balanced Wheatstone bridge where the ratio of this two resistance is equal to the ratio of this two resistance, and the arm BD becomes ineffective. The arm BD becomes ineffective provided the bridge is balanced. And the practical, now this is the theoretical portion only, the practical form of Wheatstone bridge is meter bridge. So we will study about the meter bridge in the coming lecture where we use the concept or the principle of the Wheatstone bridge. So the practical form of Wheatstone bridge is called meter bridge. Now what is the principle of galvanometer? Principle of a Wheatstone bridge. The principle of the Wheatstone bridge is that if the bridge is balanced, then the ratio of the two resistance is equal to the ratio of this two other resistance. You have to remember this order. This divided by this is equal to this divided by this. And if it is balanced, no current will flow through this arm BD. Or if I say that no current is flowing through the arm BD, then the bridge is balanced. So there are two ways to understand this. If the bridge is balanced, the ratios are equal and Ig is 0. And if Ig is 0, then the ratios are equal and the bridge is said to be a balanced Wheatstone bridge. Now let us take a small example to understand the Wheatstone bridge. Now let us see an example related to Wheatstone bridge. We have to find out, we can find out many things from this. Suppose we have to find out equivalent resistance, the total current in the circuit, and say potential difference between B and D. So these three things you have to find out from this numerical. Now before starting the distribution of the current, always check whether the bridge is balanced or not. If it is balanced, then the situation is quite easy. But if it is unbalanced, that we will see in the next lecture, then the situation is little bit complicated. So we will see first whether the bridge is balanced or it is not balanced. So from figure, this is named as R1, R2, R3, R4. So R1 upon R2, that is this divided by this, is equal to this divided by this. You have to check that whether it is balanced or not. So R1 upon R2 is equal to R4 upon R3. So substituting the value, we see that this is half is equal to 2 by 4. So it is balanced Wheatstone bridge. It is balanced Wheatstone bridge. And if the bridge is balanced, we know that no current will flow through this arm where we have connected the galvanometer. So no current will flow through this R5. It means R5 becomes ineffective. There is no use of this R5 in the circuit. It is a balanced Wheatstone bridge. So R5 is ineffective. Now we redraw the diagram where we remove this fifth resistance, and now we will do the distribution. So now the battery or the cell is of 10 volt. This is R1, R2, R3 and R4. So first you check whether it is balanced or it is not balanced. If it is balanced, then this is the equivalent diagram. Now start the current distribution. Let the current drawn from the battery is I, and we know that I should come back. Coming at a junction A, the current is divided into two parts. So let this current is I1. So this current becomes I minus I1. So instead of taking a new variable, I will take only one variable, that is I1. So other becomes I minus I1. This I1 comes to be, there is no other way. So this I1 flow through R2 and this I minus I1 flow through R3, and it both the current meet at junction C. So I1 plus I minus I1 is cancelled, we get I. So current distribution is right. Now see, the current in both this resistor is same. So it becomes a series combination. So R1, R2 is in series, R3, R4 are in series, same current is flowing through them. So we have to find out equivalent resistance. So from figure 2, this is our figure 1 and this is our figure 2. So from figure 2, R1 and R2 are in series and R3 and R4 are also in series. In series combination we write R12 is equal to R1 plus R2. So that is 1 plus 2 is equal to 3 ohms. R34 is equal to R3 plus R4. That is 4 plus 2. That is equal to 6 ohms. So this is the R2, R12 and R34. Now I draw again the equivalent diagram, that is figure number 3. So in the place of R1, R2, this is R12, this is R34. Now this is my point A, this is point C. So clearly this is AC arm and this is, so B and D is gone now. Now it is a parallel combination. So current I, here the current is I1, here the current is I minus I1. Now it is a parallel combination. So this is figure 3. Now R12 and R34 are in parallel combination. So R equivalent is equal to R12 R34 upon R12 plus R34. So we apply this parallel or combinations formula. So it becomes 3 into 6 upon 3 plus 6, that is 18 upon 9. So 2 ohm is a equivalent resistance. So this is the first part. Now this E is equal to 10 volt. So if I have to find out the total current in the circuit, so I can redraw this diagram also, and the last diagram figure 4 becomes, so this is now R equivalent, this is your cell of 10 volt and this is the total current in the circuit. This is our figure 4. So using the Ohm's law, E is equal to I into R equivalent. So I is equal to E upon R equivalent, that is 10 divided by 2, that is equal to 5 ampere. So this is the current, total current drawn from the battery or current flowing through the circuit. So R equivalent and I is found to us. Now we have to find out the potential difference between point B and D also. We have to find out the potential difference between point B and D in the circuit. So let us remove this diagram. We have to find out potential difference between B and D. We know the R equivalent, everything is found. I need to find out the value of I1. The total current in the circuit is 5 ampere. That is known to us. So to find out the value of I1, I move in a loop A, B, C, E, A. I is known to us. or I can also move in the loop A, D, C, E, A, or I can move in a loop A, B, C, D, A, any loop. First you have to find out I1. So applying Kirchhoff's second law to loop say A, B, C, D, A in figure number 2. So directly in the direction of current, so minus I1 R1. In the direction of current, minus I2 R2. Current coming from opposite side, plus R3. I minus I1. D2A, current again coming opposite side, I minus I1 R4 equal to 0. Therefore, substituting the value, R1 is 1. So minus I1. This is, it is I1 only, R2 it is I1, minus R2 is 2, so 2I1, R3 is 4, so plus 4, I minus I1, this is 2, so 2, I minus I1 equal to 0. So this can be written as minus 3I1 plus, both are the same term, 6, I minus I1 equal to 0. Therefore, substitute the value of I. I is 5. So minus 3I1 plus 6, 5 minus I1 is equal to 0. So minus 3I1 plus 30 minus 6I1 is equal to 0. So this is minus 9I1 plus 30, so I take to that side, so minus 30, so I1 is equal to 30 upon 9, so I1 is equal to 10 upon 3 ampere. I1 is equal to 10 upon 3 ampere. So total was 5 ampere. Out of that, I1 is 10 minus 3 ampere. So the remaining portion is, this is the current flowing through R4. That should be 5 minus 10 by 3. That will be equal to 5 by 3. See, I need to find out the potential difference between B and D. So I should know the value of the current flowing in the circuit. Now I take this diagram as a reference. So applying Kirchhoff law to the open path, I move from B, C to D. I move from B, C to D, open path. Or I can move from D, A, B. That is called a path. Applying Kirchhoff's second law to path. Now we are applying to a path B, C and then D. So starting from B, VB minus, in the direction of current, minus I1 R2. Opposite to the current, plus I minus I1 R3. And then I stop at D. So that is equal to VD. Therefore, VB minus I1 value was 10 by 3. So 10 by 3 into R2 value was 2 plus I minus I1, that is 5 minus 10 by 3. R3 value was 4. So into 4 is equal to VD. Therefore, VB minus 20 by 3 plus, now this is equal to 15 minus 10, 5 by 3. This is 5 by 3 into 4. 20 by 3 is equal to VD. So you see that this is cancelled. Therefore, VB minus VD is equal to 0 and it should be equal, potential at B should be equal to potential at D, and therefore that R5 becomes ineffective. So when the bridge is balanced, we need to understand one thing, that the potential at B is equal to potential at D. So this R phi, so this R phi was ineffective. It has no significance in the circuit because current does not flow in this arm because the potential was same, and we know that the current will flow only if there is a potential difference. So in the balanced Wheatstone bridge, this two vertex or point B or point D, that is the diagonal other than the battery arm, that was this BD was called as a galvanometer arm. So potential is equal. So you have to remember this. So this is the application of the theory of the Wheatstone bridge. It can be used to find out R equivalent current in the circuit. We find out the potential difference between B and D just to understand that it comes out to be 0, or why that fifth resistor or the galvanometer becomes ineffective. If I have to find out the potential difference between point A and C, then I start from A, B and I stop at C. You can find out potential difference using the Kirchhoff's second law to the path also. You can apply this. It is not necessary you always apply Kirchhoff's second law to the loop, closed loop. You can apply it to a path, and that path will give you the potential difference between the 2 points. So we wind up our lecture. In the next lecture, we will see the numerical where the Wheatstone bridge is unbalanced. Have a nice day.